Hey everybody, Horashi here, back again with just another upload, and here I'm going to talk about my thoughts and opinions on Ahsoka Season 1. Before we get this started, I just want to say thank you for clicking on this video today, and let's get into this content. Now, my first initial thoughts on Ahsoka Season 1 is just wow. I mean, honestly, wow. This was a great watch I think for all Star Wars fans out there. This was just a great watch. If you're a fan of the prequels, even if you're a fan of the original series, hey man, they had everything for you in this one. And honestly, just before we even get this started, because I've said it in past videos, but before we even get this started, I just want to say my initial opinion is I honestly think that Ahsoka was some of the best Star Wars that we've gotten since Disney has taken control of Star Wars. For me personally, I would put it up there right above Mandalorian Season 1 and 2. It might be even far above those two, and I still loved those two seasons, but I'm a bit jaded just a little bit because I didn't really care too much and like Season 3 of Mandalorian that much. Now, let me completely preface this. Honestly, I mean, I do think Ahsoka still is some of the best Star Wars we've gotten since Disney has taken over. But Ahsoka as a show still does come with some of its flaws, and I'll get to that later on in the video. But first, I would honestly just like to commend Ahsoka for being more of like a breath of fresh air for the Star Wars community, and to thank Dave Filoni for bringing us Ahsoka and really showing that he cares about the series as a whole. But now that the whole season's out, people can just binge watch it. So hopefully that brings a lot more attention to Star Wars and to Ahsoka just a little bit more. And to really I just think that we deserve to at least show Disney one or two things, which I know Disney's absolutely not going to do. But I truly believe that Dave Filoni deserves to be in full control of Disney Star Wars. And yes, he's not perfect. I mean, look, I'm not going to sit up here and pretend like he's just the perfect thing to come to Star Wars, but he's as close to Dave Filoni, Dave Filoni is as close to George Lucas as we can get right now. And with Dave Filoni at the helm, I really do believe that Star Wars can just be brought to a better direction overall than the direction that we've gone down so far. Now, before we get started let's just start on the pros section first. And to me the first pro, honestly, is Ahsoka herself. Ahsoka herself in this series is going through kind of a metamorphosis. She doesn't know what she's necessarily fighting for. She's just kind of living to live, which during the times of the Empire is really something that a lot of Jedi fell into, just living to live. I mean, even Obi-Wan himself went through that in the Obi-Wan show, where he's just living to live, just walking around, not really wanting to fight or bring any attention to himself because he's just that scared of the Empire. And then that's when the man, the myth, the legend himself, Hayden Christensen, Anakin Skywalker, comes out to train Ahsoka one last time. And she learns a very valuable lesson here. You either keep going forward and you move on with things, or you sit back and die, in which Ahsoka was honestly just dying, not, in a physical way, but she was dying in a metaphorical kind of way, in a spiritual level. She wasn't really living anymore. She was just trying to get by in life. And after Anakin taught her this lesson, she actually begins to fight and want to go back to being the Ahsoka that we know and love. The Ahsoka that's courageous, never gives up, and is always ready to go back at it. Basically, Anakin Skywalker's training to Ahsoka during episode 5 and 6 of Ahsoka was just to bring back the old Ahsoka, the Ahsoka Tano that we all know and love from the Clone Wars. The Ahsoka that would always be willing to die for her comrades and not to abandon them. The one who's always willing to fight and keep going. Another flaw of Ahsoka that this show addresses in the show Ahsoka is her abandonment issues. We all know how she abandoned the Jedi Order and left Anakin stranded and feeling like he was lonely, which I do believe is a big reason why he ended up leaving the Jedi Order and, going on to join the dark side and committing all these atrocities. And during Ahsoka, we see another example of her trying to run away from responsibility and abandoning Sabine Wren. Now, Sabine Wren being completely force sensitive is something I actually have to get used to. And hopefully with her becoming essentially the second true Mandalorian Jedi, that maybe she can bring something to the future, maybe bring something to Grogu. But anyway, I digress. Sabine is the new apprentice for Ahsoka, and Ahsoka's having problems really navigating this world of being a master. And as I watched Ahsoka and Sabine on the show run around the galaxy together, it really gave me vibes between Ahsoka and Anakin.
The similarities right there between Sabine and young Ahsoka is just actually uncanny. It's funny how Ahsoka was so gung-ho and ready to go during the war, and she was just not willing to listen to reason, not willing to listen to Anakin, and just making everybody mad, making a fool of herself, honestly. Is the same kind of reckless abandonment that Sabine has for finding Ezra. I mean, she was really willing to free Thrawn and plunge the galaxy right back into galactic war just to free one man. Overall, for these two characters, Sabine and Ahsoka, I'm really excited to see how they move on going forward. I can't wait to see Sabine eventually fulfill her role and be the second Mandalorian Jedi, and then eventually maybe down the line train Grogu in order to harness and be able to separate himself and be another Mandalorian Jedi, most likely the most powerful one. And as for Ahsoka, I'm so excited to see Ahsoka just continue to grow as a character as well. I mean, she's been with us for almost 20 years, or just over 20 years now, and it's just great to see her grow. And honestly, up next, the next pro for this show for me personally is just Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati. Now, although we don't know much about these two, every time they're on screen, they completely stole the screen. Before I do get into the discussions of Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati, I would like to say RIP to Ray Stevenson. Just like to let it be known that your work, although it was brief in Star Wars, your work really touched millions of Star Wars fans out there, and they love the character of Baylan Skoll now. I just, once again, thank you, Ray Stevenson. It really was a pleasure to see you acting as Baylan Skoll. Now, back to Shin Hati and Baylan Skoll. Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati just had this mysterious aura about them. We really don't know who they are, but we do know the small minor details about them, as Baylan Skoll was a Jedi general back during the Clone Wars. And we can piece together that Shin Hati was at least a young Force user that was probably taken under the wing of Baylan Skoll at some point during the reign of the Empire. Now, similarly to Atreus and Kratos at the end of God of War Ragnarok, we see them both divulge and go on their own paths. We see on Peridea that Baylan is here looking for a certain power that he's being called by who I think is the Sun. Well, I mean, at the end of the episode, or end of season 1, no spoilers, no spoiler warning. I'll give you a bit of a spoiler warning right now, but we see the Sun flying off into the distance, and we know this because the father is right behind him. He's standing on that rock. Well, not a rock, but a statue, you know what I mean. Which pushes the mystery for how capable Baylan Skoll is, honestly, through the roof with he's getting called and summoned by the Sun. Overall, we'll probably figure out what is going to go on with him either in a movie or season 2. I'm not really too sure what they're going to go with next. I honestly believe they're going to be making a movie. Whatever they decide to roll with, I know that this isn't the last time that we'll see Baylan Skoll versus Ahsoka Tano on screen. And then also now, with the Sun being involved, that also now means that we have Anakin Skywalker involved as well. Now that we know that Baylan Skoll is pretty much following the power and the signals from the Sun, very excited to see exactly what is going to transpire between the Sun and Baylan Skoll. I wonder if it's now that it seems to be, my theory is that Anakin is pretty much controlling the Sun and daughter. Who knows, maybe at some point in the future we'll see the Sun try to manipulate Baylan and try to get him to take out Anakin or try to get him to leave Peridea. I think that's what's going to be happening next with this next season of Ahsoka. I fully expect the Sun to be trying to manipulate Baylan into doing what he wants, because he did the exact same thing to Ahsoka and Anakin to try to get him off of Mortis back in the day. Well, as for Shin Hati and the end of the season, we really still don't know too much about her past, but her overall impact as a character is already being felt around Star Wars. That is mainly due to just how shrouded in mystery Shin truly is. I mean, we honestly have no idea what she's thinking of next, what she's going to do next. I mean, we kind of have an idea towards the end of season 8, but we don't necessarily know if she wants to be bad, being a Sith, or if she wants to be good and join the light side of the Force. Shin at this point can be molded in any kind of color. She's just a blank canvas, honestly. And I think that's what provides such a big mystery and bravado to her character. Towards the end of the episode, we see her raising her lightsaber up to those tribe of warriors who look like sand people in a way. Now, will they willingly follow Shin into battle? Who knows? I mean, who knows if they'll even allow her to lead her, but this is the whole point of her character. And that point is we just simply don't know. But honestly, I like that about Shin, because we get to infer, and we have these new characters that we can delve deep into, and we get to see these characters built from the ground up. For season 1 of Ahsoka, it definitely was good to see Hera Syndulla. Although she didn't play a very big role this time around, it was good to see parts of the Ghost Squad getting together again. And just overall, just
going on adventures again. But I digress. As I said, Harrison Dula didn't play as big as a role this season, which I think can honestly change later on. She kind of had that excursion going on where she got pardoned by Leia, but that was really cool. But later on, she'll obviously play a bigger role. As of right now, she just kind of was a supportive role to Sabine and Ahsoka. And honestly, the same can be said for Ezra Bridger as well. Now I know, Ezra, the whole point of this whole season was to stop Thrawn and save Ezra Bridger, but at the end of the day, once they found him, I mean, he only had 2 episodes left, so it really couldn't do too much with him at that time. They successfully saved Bridger, but in the same time, they got stuck on Peridea themselves, so we'll figure out next season how they're going to end up getting back whatever movie they decide to do, but as far as this season went, Ezra was kind of mainly a background supportive character to Sabine and Ahsoka, which I honestly think is perfectly fine for him. As I said, he only had 2 episodes to really show off what he can do and show off what he's been doing this entire time. I truly believe it's one of those things where we're going to have to just wait and see when it comes to Ezra Bridger. We're going to be able to see him next season or in the next movie be able to show off what he really has been up to and show his power that he's gained. As for Thrawn being the main villain, it was honestly great to see him again. He's still as brilliant, calculated, and cold-hearted as he was before. Everything for the love of the Empire with him, and it's just amazing to see him back. Although we only got a few episodes with Thrawn actually in it, Thrawn still showed just how much of a menace he truly is. I mean, between his interactions with Shin Hati and Baylan Skoll and how he was willing to sacrifice them immediately, even though that they had just showed up to save him, essentially. Well, Baylan and Shin, obviously they had their other exterior motives, but at the end of the day, Thrawn still had to be saved in order for them to achieve that. I honestly can't wait to see more of him coming up in this next season or movie at the end of the day, whatever they decide to do. But I can't wait to see more of Thrawn. I think he's the perfect villain to replace Emperor Palpatine as the main villain of Star Wars for a little bit. And who knows, maybe this is what all the shows are trying to connect to, is eventually take out Thrawn. My only honest-to-goodness complaint about Ahsoka, and I can't stress this enough, is the pure fact that people keep surviving saber stabs. I mean, whatever happened to sabers, you getting stabbed by a saber and it's completely deadly. I mean, these sabers burn so hot, your insides should be melted to a mush. There's absolutely no way you can survive one of these stabs, and obviously Qui-Gon died and a lot of other Jedi died just to a stab. And I understand they want Sabine to be considered a main character. At this point, honestly, in Phantom Menace, they just wanted to have Obi-Wan fight off and kill Darth Maul himself. And look, I completely understand, I get it, but I mean, we just can't keep having the inconsistencies with lightsabers anymore. I mean, honestly, I'd rather see Sabine get a hand cut off or something like that, or a finger, a little thumb or something like that, than just survive a stab again. And also, oh gosh, don't even get me started on Reva, but we're not even going to get there because that was just utterly disappointing. She shouldn't be alive, but that's completely a different topic for another video on a different day. One other thing that I actually am really happy with the Ahsoka series itself, and this is more of a technical side and actor side of it, is the complete and utter reformation we've seen of the choreography. The fight choreography in Disney Star Wars had been horrible up to this point, but once we got to Ahsoka, it just seemed to keep getting better and better and better and better. It was really great to see. I mean, honestly, I enjoyed almost every single last fight that was in this show. It was just great to see the sabers flying around. It brings a smile to my face, honestly, just thinking about it and looking at it. And I know one thing that fans really hate is that Ahsoka really didn't fight too much with her sabers backwards like she did in the Clone Wars. Now, I completely understand the fans' gripe about that. Trust me, I get it. But one thing that is very true as a guy who does producing and directing on the side and stuff like that myself, is that is very, 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 very hard choreography to do and pull off. To be able to fight that cartoonish would take years upon years of training and different kinds of editing in order to get that completed. And that's just really not too feasible, even for the actors and people who are on set themselves, the people who are acting it out, the guys who are editing. It's just not feasible for them. It would end up costing way more just to put into that one scene. So the way that Rosario Dawson fights as Ahsoka, I think is perfectly fine. I think it fits her character for her age and all that stuff going into it. I think it's perfectly great just the way it is. Well, those are just my few thoughts and opinions on Ahsoka Season 1. I think it was just absolutely amazing. Just to finish off, I think it was just one of the greatest things that's came to Star Wars since Disney bought it. I truly believe this is a show that will raise the bar for other Disney shows, and hopefully the other shows like Acolyte really bring it. Well, anyway, I know this is a bit of a long video, but thank you for tuning in. Thank you for clicking on that, and I really appreciate it that much. Thank you for watching and take your time out of your day. May the Force be with you, and have a great rest of your day.